So my name is Gunjan, and thank you, Metacode, for inviting me for today's session. Um, I work at Amazon at the moment, and I am the BI manager and the data engineering lead here at Amazon US. I'm currently in Seattle, and that's where I'm hosting this session from. So thank you, Metacode team, and I'm really excited to share some of the insights that I've gained over the period of my journey. We'll be talking about how to break into big tech analytics roles in all the major companies and what do these roles look like? What are some of the skills you would need to get into such roles? So, moving to the agenda of the today session, we'll start with my professional journey, learning about how I grew, where I started from, and where I am at today, going into what does a typical day of an analytics engineer looks like at Amazon. What are different career paths available? Because analytics is a very vast stream. So what would be the different career path and options available at the moment? And core skills, be it any path you choose, what are some of the core skills that you need to acquire to succeed in any of these roles? Also, I'll briefly walk you through what the interview process looks like in any of the big tech companies, and maybe share some of the tips for like what your resume and how it should look like, because I think that is your entryway to any of the interviews at any of the big techs, following with tools and platforms to elevate your skills in the conclusive notes. Really excited for today's session. So, starting with my professional and personal journey here. So, I started bachelor's in computer science engineering back in India from 2013 to 2017. That's where I explored one of my projects. I started working on, as one of my minor projects, I started working on sentiment analysis, Twitter sentiment analysis back in 2015. And that's what got my interest into this. Then I started exploring Hadoop and different big data technologies and got and decided to pursue my master's from US in management information systems with concentration in data science and business analytics. Going forward, from 2018 to 2019, I interned with two of the biggest companies in US and in the world, SLR of America and Tesla. At both of the companies, my role was one was real-time data analyst and other was data engineer at Tesla, wherein I worked in the logistics department with Tesla, identifying and contributing into how the data looks like, what are different trends associated with shipping of cars from one area to another, what does the demand look like, and how can we minimize certain costs associated with shipment logistics. In 2019, as a full-time engineer, I joined with Amazon in September as I graduated in 2019. And I joined as a junior BI or a BI1, L4 BI, business intelligence engineer with Amazon, and moved to BI2 and now senior BI, followed by the BI and engineering lead right now. For sellers, I manage a team of BI engineers and business analysts to build scalable pipelines, dashboards, and drive data-driven decisions and growth for one of the organizations within Amazon US. That's a little bit about my professional journey. To kickstart this session, I would want to walk you through what does a day in the life of an analyst look like at any big tech or any company with a lot of data. You generally would start with a cross-team sync, maybe a stand-up, and probably look for different stakeholders, how to communicate, what to communicate about, identify some of the major projects that you are going to work on that day, and do initial syncs with them. I personally try to um, divide my day into two different parts. One being starting with initial meetings, and then probably going into the data development core, and followed by again documentation and syncs. But it's a personal preference. I think but this is what a typical day would look like. I would then go and monitor some of the dashboards, look into data, what do I need to work on? If I identify any anomalies, I'll note it for the day. Thereon, my major part of the day would go into building pipelines or doing any quality assurance or deep diving into any of the identified problems, whatever tasks I have, core IC tasks I have for the day. That's what I would dig into. As I'm more closer to the end of the day, around 3 p.m., I'll try to find time to document any of my findings, experiment results, and any of the data processes. I think one of the key things of being an engineer in any of the big tech is documenting whatever you go through or whatever you work on. So this becomes a very essential and crucial part because unless anybody else knows what you're working on, you are not really working. So it's very important to document whatever you're working on, and that's what I would dedicate a chunk of my day also into, followed by final review of what I've done, conclusive tasks, any of the stakeholder syncs that I have, any of the updates that I need to provide at the end of the day, and then wrapping up the tickets, updates, and prepping up for the next day to identify what are some of my priorities for the next day. Now, this is the general structure of what a typical day would look like. Currently, I'm not into an IC role. I'm in a combination role where I'm managing the team as well as doing a lot of development. So this would change for me. But when you go into a company as an analyst, this is what generally it would look like. Moving into I think also some of the key tools that I would want to mention would be probably working on Excel, Python, Tableau, QuickSight, depending on the company and the team that you work for. Um, One of the most important call out that I would want to mention is as a BI or as a data analyst or as any analytics engineer, your your data is your identity, and it shouldn't just be accurate, it should be actionable. So that's how I would structure my day to ensure that my data is actionable and I'm able to develop the business acumen by syncing with different product teams and different stakeholders. Moving on to the next part, that is the career paths into big tech analytics. um, this is a very, I would say, initial. There could be different paths that you can take, but I have tried to categorize it into three different entry level roles or paths that you can take. One being a data analyst or a business analyst. Other could be a data scientist. Third could be a business intelligence analyst or a data engineer. Now, there's a lot of overlap between all of these roles. um, you might just begin as a data analyst, junior data scientist, or a business intelligence engineer, and then later go into the data science, or even go into a machine learning engineer, or even go as a people management path of being a business intelligence manager or a data engineer manager like me. I think one of the key things when you're going into different career paths or when you're choosing these different career paths is being able to be flexible and also being open to learn and acquire different skills as you go ahead into your journey. There's also another very interesting role that has emerged in the past few years into analytics field, that is technology management role. In that, probably what you would do is you'll take on some of the tasks of a data analyst or a business intelligence engineer, and you'll act as a consultant. You might require some experience for it, maybe 2 to 3 years of experience to get into a mid level role. But it's an interesting role where you would work a lot with product. You'll also need to have a lot of communication abilities and be able to present yourself. So you'll act as a data consultant rather into those roles. The primary difference between these roles is, although there's a lot of overlap, different companies would define it in different manner. Some of the companies would choose to say a data engineer to be a business intelligence analyst or a data analyst, and some of the companies would not even define, like even within the companies, there would not be a clear classification of where to go for or what that role would entail. So, one thing that I would highly suggest is whatever you're interested in, whatever you're applying for, you must read the description, the skills required, and then apply for those job roles. Let's say you want to be a data analyst or a junior data scientist. To identify the segregation between those is, as a data scientist, you'll need to have a lot more um, hands-on with coding and trying to understand what statistics is, how different statistic principles get applied to data. And also, you should be thorough with probably modeling techniques, clustering algorithms. That's what a data scientist would do. However, as a data analyst, you will be required to solve a lot more day-to-day tasks, wherein you should be more flexible and strong with pulling the data, which is SQL, and also have a lot of business acumen while doing this. You should have a good understanding of business problem. You'll get to work a lot more with business stakeholders who are getting this problem to you. So you would still need to have some understanding of statistics, but not as much as going into clustering algorithms or random forecast. You would not have need to have that understanding as a data analyst. I think you can grow and mature later on into that. You might need that as a senior data analyst, but not when you begin as a data analyst. General skills that are required for this is data visualization, trying to be able to dig into data and pull data, data manipulation tasks. As a business intelligence engineer or analyst, I think again it's a combination role where you'll be doing a lot of reporting, but also you'll be doing a lot of core analytics tasks, trying to identify different correlation between different metrics, trying to develop metrics for business wherein you would define the success criteria of certain products or programs with the help of those metrics. And also you might or might not be working on raising infrastructure to get this data, which is the core function of data engineering path. But some of the companies allow business intelligence analysts or engineers also to take up that role. That's pretty much into it. And as you go further into the career based on your interest, you can either diverge into the path of machine learning engineer or product manager, relating to data, or even like technology consultant, as I mentioned previously, or applied scientist as well. Um, this was a brief about different levels of roles and data career paths that are available in big tech. It's a big I would say it's a big area of opportunities, and every single business or every single team needs a data analyst. So there's a lot of scope, and if you have the interest, I would say like really, it's a big career path that you can adopt. I would move to the next slide, which would be core skills that are required to succeed. Now, when you choose a career path, for any of the career path in the data side of things, I think I've tried to identify whatever path you take, what are some of the most crucial set of skills that are required to succeed into the data path. There are multiple tracks, as I said, that you can take into the big tech, but starting with SQL, because it's a must have for any data career path that you take or any data role that you want to take. So, having good understanding of the joins, CTEs, aggregations, Windows functions, or doing different data pulls, what are different keys. I think those are basic concepts of SQL and data warehousing, which you need to have if you choose a path of data analyst or a business analyst. As you go further deep into like the data scientist sort of background or business intelligence engineering background, or career trajectory, I think Python or R also becomes very important. Python or R is primarily used for getting large data sets and also manipulation and automation of certain tasks. Let's say you have a report that you want to report to on daily basis to business. So I think that's where the automation comes into play, and that's where you may or may not need uh, Python and R. Also, if you have to do correlation or if you want to understand how do different metrics or how does different fields play together to drive success of a particular program, for that you would need statistics, and to implement that statistics or to understand the data or play around statistics with that data, I think you'll need Python and R. So either of those becomes very crucial to have as a skill if you're going into the data side of things. The third most important category, I would say, is being able to visualize. Data is nothing if you can't tell a story with data. And storytelling is one of the most crucial skills, and that's where visualization and communication comes into play. There are different tools out there in the industry depending on which company you go for. But I've listed some of the top three visualization tools currently in the industry. Tableau is owned by Tableau, Power BI is owned by Microsoft, and QuickSight is Amazon's tool. So, depending on which company you go for, you should have skills and understanding of how you would visualize data, how you would tell the story to the user. Whoever is reading your data, they should be able to tell, oh, this particular metric is going off. They should be, your data and visualization should be able to tell the story. Why are they going off? They should be able to answer why a certain business is going down or why a particular revenue is going up. There's a need on the visualization perspective from your end to tell that story to your stakeholders or whoever you're communicating or working with the data on. And also, one of the beautiful things about learning to visualize is you can do it on Excel, you can do it on Tableau, you can do it on Power BI or QuickSight. And if you're able to do it well in one of the tools, it's very easy to adopt any other tool because all of them work on pretty much similar basic principles. If you're able to visualize data on one thing, you'll be able to visualize data on the Again, as a part of storytelling comes communication. You should be able to clearly tell and communicate non-tech teams. Let's say a stakeholder tomorrow comes to you and tells you, oh, they need this data. Now, how would you explain them what different complexities go into getting that data? What is involved on the back end side of things? You can't tell them that, or the latency of this particular data would be 2 days or 3 days, or it's higher than what you're expecting. You should be able to communicate with them in the way they want, in the way they want to hear. So that's where you have to develop those communication skills where you are able to explain in clear and layman terms to a non-tech reader what your data tells. You can't tell them about correlations and different coefficients that exist. All you have to tell is if this data work, if this data would work with them or not, and also if it's able to tell a story of why a particular business is going up or down, and what are some of the key data or pain points for the business to focus on. And that's where I think business acumen also comes into a play. Whichever industry you go for, be it sports, be it music, be it tech, be it working on different e-commerce platforms, analysts are required everywhere. Data can tell a story everywhere, be it fashion. But what is more important is to try to understand the business landscape, because without having that core understanding of business landscape, you can't communicate with your stakeholders. You can't understand your own data that you're working on. You can't generate insights. Data is only as good as the insights it can generate, and that's where business acumen is very important. And developing a portfolio. If you're an engineer, if you're into this tech world, you should be able to sell your skills. And that's where GitHub, dashboard projects, Tableau Online, LinkedIn, all of these platforms play a crucial role. Whatever you work on, all of your personal projects, should you should develop a portfolio for yourself to speak about any of the personal data work that you have worked on, and develop a portfolio of whatever work you have done so far. I personally love LinkedIn. Any of the projects that I used to do as a student, I would use LinkedIn a lot to tell my story and my experience about it. Now, I think this is something that everyone would be a lot interested in understanding. How does the interview at big tech looks like? Because there is a lot of hype around big tech interviews being very difficult to crack in. But honestly, like, if you're hardworking, if you know your deal, if you have a lot of interest, um, the very core things that any of the companies look for are pretty much the same. They look, if you're really interested to get into the company and make the impact, that's the core thing any of the big tech looks for. I worked for Tesla, and I'll try to share my own personal experience here of what I went through. So I was actually in contact with one of the team members back then. I did not know who was going to be my team member later on. He was a very senior product manager at Tesla, and we would chat about what I'm interested in. He was my mentor in a way, you can say. We connected about a particular article on LinkedIn, and I reached out to him because I liked one of his comments, and I reached out to him because I wanted to chat more, and I showed my inquisitiveness. I showed my curiosity about Tesla, and that's how I landed an interview, because that person realized that probably I really want to work for Tesla at that point of time. I was very excited to showcase my skills and to make an impact. And that's how I landed an interview, because of my LinkedIn profile and my ability to communicate about my curiosity and interest. And once I got into the interview round, these are the different things that I've identified. I've interviewed with a lot of big tech, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Tesla, and all of them really look for these basic things. One is, let's walk through the different stages first. One is the recruiter screen. Then we go through a technical round, then some of the case studies and behavioral questions. So, what does the technical round entail? Um, at entry level roles, you will just get to see SQL, knowledge of statistics, Python. They'll see how methodical you are in your approach, how you're able to communicate, what problem you are solving. If you ask them the right questions about the question that is presented to you, and if you're able to reach to the solution in the way that answers all the edge cases, you're able to ask the right questions, and you're able to understand the business problem. I think for Python or SQL, you can refer to lead code for any of your practice questions. Strata Scratch is another very popular platform for any of the SQL or Python related questions, especially if you're prepping up for the interview. Lead Code, I would say, is one of the top platforms that I personally used and found it really, really helpful. Statistics, your professional or curriculum statistics, whatever you're learning in your school, would also be helpful. And if you're not learn statistics at school, no worries. There are a lot of Udemy courses also, and there are different data academy courses that are available online, and a lot of ample YouTube videos that are available for statistics for you to learn. The second most important thing is case studies. They present a business problem to you and they try to see how you're able to approach the problem. Because in real world, when you're really solving any of the data issues, You're not presented with, oh, I want this data. You're presented with a business problem. So they try to see how you're able to break that problem, to understand the requirement of the user. Most of the people who reach out to you are going to be non-tech users. So in this case study, that's what case study round, that's what they look for. They might ask you to build a presentation as well, on any of the data sets that they produce or any of the business problems that they produce, and present it later on. That's what happens at Google. I was given a problem and I was given 36 hours to solve that problem and present a presentation for it. And it differs from company to company, but this case study round is always usually there where they try to see like how you break a business problem and try to reach to the requirements or the ask of the problem. Going into the behavioral round of things, star format, like behave, what they want to see is what different, if you're a company fit or not, if you have a cultural fit or not, if you're able to imbibe those qualities of being curious, if you're able to root cause into the data, if you're able to really deep dive into the data, if you would be able to deliver results and show quantifiable impact. That's where your real world problems, your academic projects would really come into play. Always, whenever a question is asked to you about your experience, try to answer it in a star format, starting with a situation where you try to tell what the situation was in hand, what was the task that you identified, followed by the actions that you took. Let's say you dive deep into a particular data set, what different techniques you used, and then the result. Try to quantify the impact or the result. What difference were you able to make with that data or with that particular experience or action that you took? Try to quantify the impact. A good tip here from my end, which I've noted here, is always have 3 to 5 impact stories ready. It could be from your personal projects, it could be from your academic projects, it could be from your prior internship experience. You always should have 3 to 5 impactful stories ready to tell to your interviewer that no, you have the skills, you have tried to be hands on with things, with any opportunity that was presented to you. A lot of people would come to me say that, oh, I never had an internship experience, or I did not have a full-time experience. How can I get these stories ready? Use your academic projects. Use any of the questions or class exercises that have been given to you. And if that is not available, there are so many data sets that are available in real world. Try to make a group and try to address problems with your peers or do personal projects. So many courses and so many hackathons and so many like open platform cases are questions and case studies and stories are available these days. So try to make use of these opportunities and try to create 3 to 5 impactful stories ready for you so that you can crack the interview at Big Tech. Now, you would ask me, like, okay, that is okay, but how do I really get into it? One was being very opportunistic and present with the different career opportunities that are available, excuse me, that are available in this field, being very active on LinkedIn. But even beyond that, one thing that is going to be your reflection or or really the storyteller of your career or your hard work is going to be your resume. So I've listed down what should a resume entail. It should have the summary, your metrics, your projects, whatever skills you have. It should be a strong showcase or a portfolio of whatever you have done. It should be the most impactful storyteller for you. Let's say if you have been able to reduce the manual work hours for 5 hours per day. Tell that in your resume. Tell that story. Make it impactful. And everything that you do, be mindful of how that particular action or task is contributing to the success, and try to showcase that story on your resume. Also, one of the most important things here is identifying what career path to choose and what jobs to focus on, and trying to see like if your skills that you're acquiring really match that. Unless and until your skills don't match what a recruiter or what a company is looking for, um, however strong your data set, your skill set is, if it's not a match with the company, you would not be able to get into the company. So it's important to focus on the right set of skills and career for the career path that you're looking for. So, and trying to publicize it in the right way. Use strong keywords. Some of the good tools that you can use to optimize your resume are Resi and JobScan. You can do a keyword match with the positions that you're looking for and try to alter your resume every time based on the positions that you apply for. Be very selective in the positions that you're applying for. For practicing, you can use LeetCode, Strata Scratch, and Kaggle. These are very good platforms for any data career path that you're looking for. There are a lot of data sets available on Kaggle that you can use and explore as a student, and also if you're in the mid-level journey of any of the data career paths. Kaggle is a great platform to explore any of the data sets. Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, and W3 Schools are great learning resources for you. I think one of the key things now that people use is AI. You can use ChatGPT or DeepSeek or any preferred AI for developing your mock questions, for practicing, for developing your study plans. You can ask the AI or train the AI to interview in a certain way so that you can prepare the mock so they can prepare the mock questionnaire for you for any of the interview, and you can probably have mock interviews with the help of AI, and I think that has been very effective for me at least. And some of the students or some of the early journey candidates that I help or mentor, they have been able to use AI a lot and find a right mentor in the industry based on what you're targeting. Finding a right mentor is very important, and that's where I think um, all of these would tie in together for you. I've linked a I've linked a um, I've linked a link for different examples of resume that are available for you if you're depending on where you are in the different career journey. I think you this is a very resourceful link of how to create your resume, what should you write on your resume, what you should not, um, and what are different soft skills and skills that you should present on your resume, how you should present your education, your skills, what should be the objective on your resume. Everything is like clearly outlined here, and this is a great resource for anyone who's trying to look into creating their resume and applying in the industry right now. Now, I think I provided a lot of resources here, and but I've tried to conclude it here in one go. Mastering one skill at a time is the key. Be it don't go overboard with, oh, I want to learn Python, I want to learn R, I want to learn SQL, I want to learn visualization, I also want to learn any of the new tech, I want to learn prompt engineering. No, try to focus on the career path that you are looking to master and go one by one. Start with basic SQL, then go to advanced SQL. Once you feel like you're hands on, like you're really good with SQL, then go for the visualization. Try to learn one tool. Don't go overboard with all the tools. Try to learn one tool at a time. Once you've mastered visualization, at least one tool, then go with Python or R. Choose a preferred coding language. Go with that. Furthermore, like along, then you can learn into statistics and try to go for algorithms that are present, different machine learning algorithms that are present for you to use. Optimize your time by identifying and taking help from AI tools. Develop your different coursework and plans for yourself. That's what I do even at this point of time. I use a lot of AI tools to optimize my time and productivity. And practicing is the key. And use real-time world problems. You can find on LeetCode and different Kaggle, Makeover Monday, those platforms. These are free resources. Um, use those platforms to really um, get hands-on with the questions for interview rounds and develop those skills. And I've suggested two of the books that helped me, Storytelling with Data and Data Science for Business. I think those are two phenomenal books that you can read if you want to really pursue the career path into the data side of things. And yeah, the success mantra for me is stay curious, build your portfolio, and iterate, because unless you publicize what you're doing, unless you tell a story, nobody knows what you're doing. Those are some of the key things from my end.